Hi guys, my name is Patrick, but you can call me 26. And what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about self-referencing relationships in SwiftData, right? In particular, we're going to talk about how you can model self-referencing relationships in a SwiftData model. And a self-referencing relationship is one which shows a parent-child relationship, right? So in this case, we have tasks, and then the tasks themselves have subtasks. And subtasks can also have subtasks under them. For example, we could add a task. We could say something like gardening, like so. Hit save, and then you're going to have gardening. And then after this, we could add a subtask, and we add a subtask. Let's add a subtask, and the subtask in question is going to be, let's say, weeding. And we say weeding like so, and then we add another subtask. We could say something like pruning, right? And then we hit save. And we could also mark them as done by flipping the switch, and marking them as done. We can also do the same for gardening, mark it as done, right? So this is basically what you're going to do, and you can see that this relationship is very well modeled with the disclosure indicator, right? So if you flip the disclosure indicator, you see all the particular tasks children, right? Do this, you get all the children, right? Do this and they disappear. Do this, you get all the children, and you can add more subtasks like so and like so on and so forth, right? And here you could also add a subtask to a subtask, right? So you could add a subtask to a subtask, right? You could infinitely chain them, right? So that's what you're going to build. I'm going to put all the code for this on GitHub, and then I'm just going to explain in particular the model, because that is the most important part. Before we get to today's business, you could have a look at my course. That is the e-commerce full stack application. And what we build is iStore. And iStore, we build the front end and the back end. And iStore does use SwiftData. We use SwiftData in persisting our cart. So whenever you close the app, we save the contents of what you want to get into a cart. And in this cart, which also has a map, you can pick the location like so and do that. And this is persisted using SwiftData. And also among our carts, we have favorites, right? So we have our favorites here, and you could save the favorites, and the favorites are products that you like that you would want to maybe go back and later on buy. And this also uses SwiftData to save our particular favorites, right? So we do that. And also on top of it, we figure out how we can work with the observable macro when you're dealing with SwiftData. So all these are projects that we actually implement in this application. If you'd like to see the complete project, have a look at the link in the description. If you're going to see the 26-hour project in its entirety plus the source code. If you would like to see the first 12 hours of the project, they're available on my page on this channel, right? So have a look at that. Now let's get to the business of the day. First thing we want to do is we would like to import SwiftData. So we could do that. We could come here and say import SwiftData like so. Then after that, we would need to get the task item in question. And we could do that like so. Get the task item in question. You need to say at model, right? And it requires you to put an initializer, because this is after all SwiftData. And then we're going to put the various properties. And we could do that. Come here. Get that title is completed and the created date, which is just going to be the current date, right? And then after that, to quiet it down, you could do this by putting the initializer, and you could just say init like so, and then it's going to give you everything. I think that came with 2 Xcode versions ago, if I can remember correctly. Then after that, we now need the special source that indicates the self-referencing relationship, right? So for that, we just need to tell it the relationship, and we can do that above below the date, above the initializer, like so. And we have the inverse, which is going to be, so we have the subtasks, which is going to be the parent, the task item, which is going to be the parent, and the subtasks, right? And then we indicate that the relationship, the inverse, is going to be the task item dot parent, right? So this is the important thing, where you have a parent and then you have a child that is subordinate to them, right? And then of course we need a couple of functions, and this one is just going to be where we add subtasks, and one where we remove subtasks, right? So we could do that. That's pretty straightforward. We have already seen how to do this in a bit more detail, right? So this is entirely our task item as we need to have it, right? So that's it. And this is the important part where we have our relationship, and then we indicate the inverse. This is going to be the task item dot parent, right? And then we have the tasks and the subtasks with the parent and the subtasks that are subordinate. You give it defaults, right? Unless when you're creating them, you don't want to put the defaults, and I had already done that because where we created it originally, I had put the defaults in the initializer that each completed. When you create a task, it's not completed. You could either do it here or you could do it when you're creating the task, right? So we have done that, and then we can go over a quick tour of the app. I think the rest of it is just the normal stuff. We have a task list view. Let's get the entry point where we have our model container, and then we provide it to the entire app. The task list view is the main view in our app, and we have the task list view which has task rows, and then of course with the buttons and the sheet for the new task, right, and so on. The new task is where we just add the new task over there, and the task row view just takes a task item and says whether or not we are showing the new subtask sheet, right? And we use a disclosure group for all this, right? Now the code is going to be available on GitHub. You can have a look at it and marvel at it, but it's pretty basic. And we're also missing something for created date. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have asked it to create for us this initializer. The created date should be the current date, so we could just come here and we say created date is just going to be, let's say, date. So we do that. So those are some of the perils if you let Xcode autocomplete for you. It might be slightly different from what you expect it to be, right? So we do that, and this is going to be our app, and now we have the same thing. Basically it's the same thing, right? And we can add tasks, and let's see, what other tasks do we want to do? We have gardened. We want to go to the gym, right? So we do that gym, and then in the gym we want to add a subtask. This is going to be something like cardio like so. Hit save, and we can have cardio as being complete, right? So that's a quick example of how you can indicate and create self-referencing views, right? Now, in case you want to see an app that uses SwiftData in its entirety, have a look at my SwiftUI E-commerce application, where we create the front end and the back end of the app. The first 12 hours of the application are available in YouTube. The rest of the app, you can get it on the description. It's available in the description. We incorporate SwiftUI. We use Upright. We have several things that we do, and it's a pretty decent and large chunk of code that you should definitely sink your teeth into. Have a good day.